Previously on Real Garbage.
Did you eat one of my grapes?
And now on this episode of Real Garbage.
Yeah.
Oysters because they're aphrodisiacs.
Yeah.
I got her knees done.
Yeah.
You can do that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We hate them.
After a quick word from our fake sponsors, we get into some white chicks. Wait, hold on. That came out way wrong. Stick around because we review the 2004 hit White Chicks on this episode of Real Garbage. But first, here's a quick word from our fake sponsors.
Have you been recently hexed by a witch or a warlock? Are you finding it hard to get your day-to-day tasks done due to fatigue and overwhelming dread, fear, and feelings of impending doom? Then look no further than the Hexagon, the wearable warding charm sweeping the nation. With the Hexagon, you'll no longer need to worry about those pesky wizards messing with your stuff ever again. With different versions of the Hexagon, you can wear it on your wrist, wear it as a charm around your neck, wear it on your fingers, and if you're small enough, you can wear it somewhere else. The Hexagon, only from the Evil Contractor Corporation.
Hey, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and turn on notifications for new episodes every Sunday of Real Garbage. Thanks, everybody. Real Garbage.
How you doing, Arnold?
I'm doing very well, very well. How are you?
I am fantastic. Welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, man.
It's your first time out here.
Yeah, I used to work in Brentwood way back when I first moved here from Vancouver, but there's no reason for me to be out here other than to see you, of course.
Yeah, well, I'm very glad you can make it out here.
Yeah.
How have you been? I haven't seen you in, over a year.
Yeah, but a year, it's been good. Like just working in a restaurant, just kind of changing different places, trying to say that I'm writing comedy, but I haven't been too on top of it as much as I wish I could. But this has been a good exercise in trying to kind of exercise that tone of voice again.
Heck yeah. Well, you asked me if I wrote, and I was like, God, no. It's hard to write when you have no place to perform.
Yeah.
And this has just been it's been a weird year. But I was telling you about when I went to Sonora back in November. Mm-hmm. It was strange because it was like the Wild West.
Yeah.
It was almost like COVID was gone. Nobody was social distancing. There was no masks. I remember like literally leaning in someone's face being like, hey, how you been, man?
The first couple of months, because I was running a restaurant downtown, and every Friday, Saturday, there were just groups of people just hooking up, meeting up, just tossing drinks to each other. I don't think it really hit here as much as we thought it would.
I kind of feel like I wouldn't normally be a club person or a bar person. I wouldn't want to be in a busy bar. But now, after a year of this, I think I might just, suit up and go for a night out on the town when this is all done.
What kind of suit are you going to wear?
I got one of those cheap H&M suits. I'm poor, man.
Yeah.
I can't afford stuff. Can't afford a nice suit. I've never owned a nice suit.
You just wear a gold tank top to show those guns.
Yeah, I could do that. I have been working out a little bit. Oh, actually, I haven't, but I've been working outside.
Yeah.
Could just do T-shirt. T-shirt and jeans, man. I'm almost 40. I'm turning 39 this year, and I just think it's T-shirt and graphic tees and jeans.
Dude, have you been watching those videos with The Rock, though? He's, almost 50?
Dude is jacked.
I know, he's putting us to shame.
He is huge.
I just love watching. It inspires me every day. And yesterday his cheat meal was 2 burgers, 2 large fries, 2 shakes. I can do that part. The working out part is the hard part.
He's eating the 12 chocolate chip pancakes in one sitting. That's no problem.
Yeah.
Working out. The guy travels with like a $30,000. No, it's more than that. His gym is Iron Paradise. The guy travels with a gym.
I know.
Can you imagine that?
Remember,
that was your job.
Remember when he started too? He was like kind of a normal sized dude, really charismatic. Did you used to watch wrestling?
Oh yes.
Yeah, like he was almost there. He used to be in the CFL, was a football player, and then kind of moved his way up. Then he got the Rock persona. He dropped the Rocky Maivia thing, got the people's eyebrow going, and then it was all like roller coaster ever since.
Because he was a bit of a heel when he started, wasn't he? Because it was him and like Farouk. And
yes.
That's actually how he started, was he just grabbed because he was like a Farouk henchman, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was part of the Nation of Domination when he started. And then he kind of broke off because he obviously has the heritage from his dad's grandpa being a wrestler, and kind of moved it on his own, and had those rivalries with Stone Cold and like The Undertaker that were just classic, or Triple H ones too.
Man, wrestling was so much fun back in the day.
Yeah, I don't really watch it anymore, but I know that what's his name is starting that podcast. Zach, yeah.
Wait, that's None of My Friends Watch Wrestling.
Yeah.
Shout out to None of My Friends Watch Wrestling, Zach.
The first time I saw Zach was at Logan's. It was Halloween. That was my first time ever going to open mic, and he was dressed as Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh,
and he had like creams, like little like those milk things that you put in coffee.
Cream rises to the top.
And he started throwing them at the crowd. Yeah, and I was like, "Is this guy for real life?" And then I realized he actually was a huge fan of wrestling.
His wrestling impressions, like the voices. He's been on the show a couple times, and he can just drop his voice down to like a range, like a register that I just can't do.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where you get that deep, macho man, yeah. He just does it so well. But it's getting better.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's pretty good. I can hear you on the radio. Or I get those old ladies driving in Quadra Village getting all wet from hearing your voice.
Well, it's funny that you said that. You're like, how come you never done radio? Actually, I've had a few people, particularly at the butcher.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be asking, I don't know why, the lady behind the butcher counter is like, you should be doing something with that voice of yours. I'm like, well, I try to, ma'am. You have yourself a good
So you can
day.
be a sheriff, yeah?
Yeah. Wait, hold on. That's like my Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption.
Oh.
All right, now, move along.
Or you're Scott Stapp, I guess.
You take me yeah.
When live music comes back, that'll be your
Dude,
thing.
I want to go do karaoke so bad.
Oh, you'd kill it. What's your
I
song?
love karaoke. Oh man, anything country? Pretty good with country. I don't have like a go-to. Wait, no, hold on, that's not true. Kickapoo by Tenacious D,
Yeah. Ooh,
because it's
nice.
Jack Black, Ronnie James Dio, and Meatloaf all in one song.
Oh man, you must have an epic voice.
It's not bad. I used to do karaoke at the bar where I worked at the Blue Coyote, who's now Brewski's over in here in Brentwood Bay.
Yeah.
And I pitched the idea when they hired me. I'm like, do you guys do karaoke? And he's like, no. I'm like, you should. So I got karaoke going within like 3 weeks. So it was every other Saturday was karaoke night. And I was like the singing bartender.
Were you able to keep it pretty modern, or did the Brentwood Bay people kind of take it down to like Frank Sinatra? Or
Oh, there was one dude, old Rob, he's an old dude. He would come in there and do That's Life by Sinatra every time.
nice?
That's life. And he was like, he would do really well.
Oh, cool.
The guy actually writes and produces children's songs. So he like sings on them and everything. Like every once in a while, he's like, hey, come hop in the car. I got to show you something. And he'd like pop in a CD. And he would I'm like, who is this? He's like, it's me. I just made a new kids album. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You never know what people do these days, right? Like I didn't know you were a landscaper.
No.
Yeah, I always thought.
I'm learning some stonemasonry work too, which is kind of cool. And the neat thing about working with this company is that, man, I've learned all the skills to like landscape my own yard if I ever get one.
Yeah. I was gonna say that there's not a lot out there on that asphalt over there.
No. I got my garden boxes. I'll plant something in there.
Yeah, one day.
Do you want to talk about white chicks?
Not really.
Man, this was your suggestion. It's always guest choice.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I was torn because I initially wanted to do role models because I'm a big brother, which I get is almost like too good to be bad.
So good.
Yeah.
Like you said that, and I was like, I can't. I
like-
love role models.
And I like my background with it, but you're right. I watched it. Like, what can I say that's bad about this?
Nothing.
No.
I just spend my afternoon in Middle Earth with Gleep Clop and the Floopty-Doos. It's like my favorite line in any movie still. It's so good.
And Jane Lynch was just she was brilliant
Do you know
in
what
that
I
movie.
had for breakfast? Cocaine. What'd you have for dinner? I bet it was cocaine.
So instead, we chose White Chicks.
Oh, man.
Which I remember, was it 2004 it came out.
2004.
Yeah, right after high school for me. I remember seeing the trailers, and at no point would I think I'd be talking about this movie to you on a podcast 15 years later. So
This, was, I was surprised at how racist it was.
you were surprised that White Chicks was racist?
Yes. Well, because, man, 2004 was a different time.
Yeah.
Like looking back at some of these movies, it's like, wow, yeah, they got a lot away with a lot more, and we seemed to be a lot more tolerant of racism, I guess you could say.
And just the idea, too, that there's a lot of sexist jokes throughout the movie. And I'm not super white knighty. I'm like partial white knighty. But just that idea that a lot of these things, you could believe that's funny, like seeing a man dressed as a woman with a face mask and to not really think that was bizarre or not. Like, you're okay with that?
Ooh, I thought it was bizarre right off the bat because I hadn't seen this.
Yeah.
I had never seen this. I thought I had, but like you, I just seen the trailers for it. And when we first see them in the makeup, it's like, ooh, it's startling.
You know, so I did my little bit of research, right? Because I wanted to be on top of it. So the guy who did the makeup for Miss Doubtfire was the main makeup artist for this movie.
Figured there was some sort of connection there because there was a point where there's a scene where it's like very Mrs. Doubtfire-ish. And I was like,
Yeah, that's right. When the girlfriends come over, right? Yeah.
Do you want to give the elevator pitch for what this is? You explain to the listeners and viewers what White Chicks is all about?
Yeah, so essentially about two FBI officers, and their skill set is to dress as other people, like other races or other genders. And they're trying to solve mystery about two rich women who are about to be kidnapped and why they're going to be kidnapped. That's the premise. Although the plot doesn't have anything to do with the movie whatsoever.
It doesn't at all. They kind of skim over that like, oh, there's kidnappers. And they're going to kidnap the daughters of this rich guy. And that's pretty much it.
And just the background about who's rich and who's borrowing money to who, like none of it really makes sense toward the end.
It didn't. There was a point where like, I was watching very closely too. Like I try to pay attention to these when I'm making notes.
Yeah.
And there's information being doled out, and all of a sudden, like the expressions on the faces are like, oh, we just figured something out. And I'm like, what did they just figure out? That person's giving money to someone else. Doesn't make any sense to the viewers at all.
No, and I think the strength of the movie was more about the interaction between like the rich people and then the Wayans brothers. But yeah, this background story of the FBI thing just didn't make any sense. Actually, because I watched it on Netflix, the next movie that got recommended was Rush Hour, the first one.
Yeah, I actually turned it on after.
Me too. I watched
a little bit of it.
Yeah, and like that makes sense. Like it makes sense why there's like a cop related to it all, and obviously it's very funny too. But this movie didn't need to have an FBI background whatsoever.
It could have just been two. Well, I don't know how you would have got two black guys dressing up as white chicks.
I think they could have infiltrated a sorority or something like that. Like there were so many other premises I think could have worked.
The sorority one would actually be pretty good.
I think that's what it was, right? Because they're kind of copying that Paris Hilton, Nicole Richie thing. That's who the two rich women were.
Oh God,
Yeah.
Wow, I had like forgotten about the single life.
Good, you should forget about it.
Man, this just gets me thinking about all the crappy reality shows that were coming out there.
Well, that's the thing too. Another sidebar research: the guys who did this song, that Mrs. Wilson song, were the guys who did the intro song for Simple Life.
Let's take two girls for filthy rich.
Isn't that Paris?
Because it was such a big show, right? So that's where the whole premise of this movie came about, was that what happens if these two women got kidnapped, and then how can we dress as white chicks to make it funny?
Okay, hold on. Let's just start at the start here because we work through this linearly. So we open up with these. We get introduced to the two FBI characters. And I honestly didn't recognize, was it Sean Wayans and Marlon Wayans?
Yeah.
I didn't recognize Sean in that disguise.
Yeah.
I recognized Marlon for sure.
Yeah.
But the other guy, I was like, who the hell is this guy? It's just some random. And then I literally had to rewind it after they peeled off their masks and go like, was that him? And I'm looking closer. I'm like, oh, it is him. Okay.
Yeah, I think Marlon's always been the one you can recognize the most. And actually, there are certain parts throughout the movie where he actually has pretty solid acting chops.
Well, man, they were believable as these two chicks because there were points where I'm like, I don't know which one's which anymore.
Yeah.
And because I don't know which one originally was playing which sister.
Yeah.
And I don't think they really tell us. So we just kind of have to guess.
No, and then because they're so consistent throughout the role, as much as it is a terrible movie, they actually did a pretty good job about portraying themselves as white chicks.
Mm-hmm.
Like they stayed with the role. They broke a couple times, but that was the humorous part, right? Like a guy would slap their ass and they would talk all street all of a sudden.
No.
Yeah.
What you doing?
Yeah.
When they break into those, like they break out of character and they just become themselves, it's like, man, how does nobody around them kind of notice, like, why is this white girl talking like a 38-year-old black man? Doesn't make any sense.
I don't know either, but I was thinking about that too when I was making my notes. Maybe everyone's just so much more woke in 2004. So they were like, you know what? Maybe you can talk in any culture you want to. Maybe it's all right.
She's expressing herself in a different way.
Yeah.
We can't call her out on that.
Yeah, they weren't canceling people yet, right? So you're just speaking however you want to, and it was funny. It was cool.
You know what? That makes sense. Yeah, 04 was just a freer time.
I don't know, like, especially because of how quote unquote, racist the movie was and sexist the movie was. Like, that's just how we saw what was funny back then. But we also had the discourse to say that was really offensive. Mm-hmm. Now there's this outrage that if you talk about those things, we shouldn't talk about them at all. And I think that's the unfortunate thing where these movies exist. I'm not saying this is like Pulitzer Prize winning stuff, but at least we can openly laugh at these things and talk about why it's ridiculous that these things are happening.
Mm-hmm. This episode's actually already been canceled.
Yeah.
As I'm making these notes, I'm like, I wonder how many people will actually complain about this episode.
Yeah. We won't just do any impressions. I think that's the main thing. I can't do a good black voice at all.
Yeah, I won't try.
Yeah, I don't.
We can try them. We can edit them out later.
Yeah, there's a couple good lines, but yeah, I won't do them in any accents.
So I found that this movie, it started just amped right up, like because the sense of humor and a lot of it was like just throw it at you and just throw more and more and more at you. So immediately, Marlon Wayans' character is like over the top, like screaming at these Russians that we're thinking are drug dealers, but are actually just ice cream salesmen. That would be one way to run your ice cream business. Just be big, tough Ruskies selling ice cream.
And you only take money in cash?
Yeah, a briefcase full of cash. Thank you, sir. So yeah, they bust these guys. They bust the wrong guy, and then the actual bad guys come in later and like, oh, you have your ice cream. Oh wait, sorry, wrong place. Let's get out of here.
And in classic 2000s fashion, a full shootout breaks out where there's complete clips of ammo shooting each other, and yet they're police officers. So like, there's no semblance of reality with like law enforcement whatsoever.
Classic cop movie opening fight scene.
Yeah.
Because it was. I'm like, oh wow, this is action packed right off the bat.
Which is kind of funny because I didn't know that there was that whole law enforcement background toward it. So I guess they had a little bit of budget to put into the action scenes, and a lot of it was filmed in my hometown in Vancouver.
Oh really?
Yeah, like they filmed the Hampton scenes at Hatley Castle over there. A commercial drive was where the bodega was, and there's like the beaches where Jericho. I just know them from growing up there.
Man, I'm gonna have to throw this on later and just take a peek at those scenes because I didn't realize that.
Well, is that time when everything was filmed in Vancouver because everything was so cheap, and then they portray everything as like Malibu or the Hamptons for that kind of stuff.
Interesting. Okay.
Not really.
And this is one, okay, they're terrible FBI agents because they did not know who they were going after. You'd think that they would have pictures of their subject,
Yeah.
right? Like, does not get the wrong guy completely.
And you think that they would have gotten fired for shooting up a bodega in the middle of the day?
Well, they're cops. They got suspended without pay.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Oh,
You go home. So this is where they're getting reamed out by the chief. We introduced to to Marlon Wayans' really, really overbearing wife. Phones him in the middle of the argument. Hang on, got to take this. No, honey, I'm getting yelled at by the chief. Yep, bye. Hangs up. She calls the chief.
yeah.
Who would ever call their significant other's boss? Come on.
And then the girlfriend's always called Gina. Remember the Martin Lawrence show? Like whenever you have like an annoying black girlfriend, her name's always Gina for some reason. Yeah, it just kind of pops up. I tried to Google like why that is. There wasn't anything for that, but because in the Martin show, like his girlfriend was Gina. She was always like harping on him.
I see.
I love the 90s. Like this is I guess 2004, but this kind of era of comedy was my time.
I just feel like the 90s. It's way back then.
It does feel like it has the whole like In Living Color kind of vibe to it, like scary movie kind of vibe. So it really felt of my like sophomorish humor.
So we were talking about Scary Movie the other day. That movie does not hold up.
No?
No.
I think this is in the same boat too.
This was still, like I was saying earlier, it still made me laughing a couple times. I think Scary Movie right now, yeah, none of it's it's not relevant anymore. So that's one thing. It's like,
Yeah.
it is difficult trying to watch movies from early 2000s and 90s that made a lot of references to be funny because you watch them now and you're like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And you might remember some of them, but most of them you're like, yeah, it doesn't work anymore.
Well, even like that Simple Life thing, right? You even forced it out of your mind, and now it just kind of came back.
That's hot.
There was a little bit of a teaser at the beginning because I watched it twice. So I never thought I'd watch White Girls twice in my life. But when they were having the fight scene in the bodega, Sean Wayans goes up to Marlon Wayans and says, "Why do you always take the biggest dude?" And he says, "I like a challenge." It makes sense later on.
It's kind of like, oh, yeah.
So the plot is that the FBI wants to try to surveil these two rich women because they're supposedly being kidnapped.
They're the daughters of the owner of Wilson Cruise Lines. I wrote that down because I was like, that might come in handy at some point.
Yeah, so they're coming into New York for the Hamptons white party or whatever.
Whites only party.
Yeah, white, yeah, the one that Latrell whatever is invited to. And then so their job is someone has to pick them up, and because no one wants to because they're really annoying socialites, and Marlon and Sean Wayans were in trouble, they decided to kind of hop on and they're the ones to pick them up.
And they kind of got just thrust into that because they were going to come in and like give the chief a piece of their mind. And they're like, yeah, he has something to say to you. He's like, oh, we want to be on the case. Okay, you're on the case.
Yeah.
Bam, done.
We're actually talking about the plot for White Chicks.
I know, it's crazy. There is a bit of a plot. They pick him up and they go on a car ride, and I can't handle vocal fry.
Yeah.
And all it was vocal fry from these two girls. Oh my God. Like, seriously. I'm like, ugh. Use your diaphragm.
Yeah, I can see why that whole Simple Life reference bothers you. Why you had to erase it from your memory. I actually saw a couple episodes because we were in high school at the time, and I was enraptured. I was when they went to that
watched it.
farm. That was
I
actually
watched
pretty
it.
good. Yeah,
I watched it. I'll admit it.
yeah,
That was back when we had like cable for the first time, and I'm like, oh man, what's on TV?
yeah. We had 8 channels.
Yeah.
That was the one.
Grew up
Fox.
with 3.
Oh, right, the Brandon, Manitoba, 3 channels.
2, 4, and 5. And Friday nights you could sometimes get 21,
Yeah.
the French channel, and you sometimes see boobs. I was like, oh. Move the bunny ears.
The little Marion Cotillard boob. Yeah.
Oh man, this one scene where, because they put the dog in the front seat and
Yeah.
they make Marlon Wayans sit in the back. And this scene did actually make me laugh when the dog flew out the window and he's like trying to pull it back in and they're almost smashing into like semis and cars and shit. And then they end up driving out the side of the road. Oh, yeah, this is how they smash their face up.
Yeah.
And Marlon, he stays in the back. The other ones the girls scratch their nose. What is
One
it? The nose
scratched their lip or something
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
Oh, my God, your lip. Oh, my God, your nose.
Yeah.
And then they decide they're not going to the Hampton party with their faces looking like that.
Which I think was a big plot hole. Wouldn't the movie just end there? Like, what was their thought process that they should dress up as these women to ensure that they don't get in trouble? That is the core of the plot. That's the core of the movie.
That's basically that's right. That's what it was, though, right? Was they have to impersonate them to make it seem like the girls still got there, so they don't get in trouble.
But couldn't they hire like 2 other white chicks?
I suppose, but they wouldn't. They wouldn't look as good because they had to call in. What was this guy's name? Josh.
Yeah.
They called Josh, and Josh seemed like he had been waiting for a long time to turn these 2 dudes into chicks.
Yeah.
Like he was like
looking
right
forward
there.
to it.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
he had the scanners, he had the plaster, everything.
8 pairs of boobs. They had different boobs from the tryout.
right.
Yeah. I watched this movie twice.
It was funny how they're just freaking out. Like when he sees the boobs on him, he like freaks out when I'm like, didn't he tell you that he was turning you into a woman? Why are you freaking out? If anything, and they put them on me, I'd be like,
Yeah.
start playing with them.
I was gonna say you're looking pretty big right now.
You got any bigger ones? That would be, man. If it's a good thing they can't just put our consciousness into the bodies of other people.
I'm kind of looking forward to that actually.
Well, I've talked about this before. I like the idea of the Neuralink and VR. That's going to be cool.
Who do you want to be?
Well, I just want to be able to. I like the idea of like say you're in town, I'm here, and my best friend's somewhere else. We all plug in like Matrix style. And next thing you know, we're pulling up next to each other in some cars in like a driving game. It's like, let's go for a cruise, boys. That kind of like immersive experience, or even something like first person shooters would be insane.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would be good for us though. Full on VR Neuralink style first person shooters. Because it's like one thing to be controlling a character with a controller. I think it's another thing to be full on thinking, like running and shooting people.
And they have those body sensory suits now. So you can actually, if someone were to shoot you in the chest, you can actually feel like a pulse in your chest.
That's crazy. Or you could like feel the balls hit your face when somebody teabags you.
I think that's the way to do that somewhere in Brentwood Bay.
Goddamn punk. Quit teabagging me. So yeah, they come over, they Mrs. Doubtfire these 2, and the first look that we get of them,
Yeah.
I literally went like, yeah,
Yeah.
because it made me uneasy
Yeah.
because it didn't look natural.
Well, it was really white, and then there was like these red marks under their eyes, and they grew taller. The women were taller.
That would be the one giveaway right there. Like if I saw a friend and I was like, wait, you're 8 inches taller.
Yeah.
Something's not right.
They said they got knee implants. That's what they said.
Got our knees done.
Yeah.
You can do that?
Yeah.
What do they go to a hotel next?
Yeah, they go to the Hamptons. They go to the Hampton Hotel, like the Royal Hampton Hotel.
And I forgot for a second that they knew who Gomez was.
Yes, because he was one of the other FBI officers that was kind of slagging them because they were fuck up on the first case.
Gomez and what was the other guy's name? Fletcher or something like that? Samsonite. That was way off. So they're like, I didn't realize they knew who Gomez was because I'm like, man, they're being really mean to this Hispanic guy because they're calling him like Jose and Julio and like they give him like 6 different names. I was like, wow, why are they being so mean to this guy? And then later on, I was like, oh, it's Gomez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess is that what you mean where you're talking about it was a little more racist than you thought the movie would be?
Well, that's bits of it there, but it's like later on when Luttrell makes some comments at the party, you're like, wow, okay. That's and just like you couldn't get away with white face right now either.
No.
Full white body. Which that to me was like, man, this was, and it's only 2004. It's not that long ago.
But maybe that's the perspective that I had, where people didn't see race in the same way. So they were like, oh, these people just look a little bit different. They maybe had some fucked up plastic surgery, but this is what they look like now. Let's not judge them completely.
Yeah, I look at it as like it's just goofy comedy. It's just two dudes dressed as chicks being funny. It was like Robin Williams dressing up as Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
There's no problems with that.
Although when I remember that movie, I thought it was pretty believable, because I guess with the wrinkles in the face mask, it made her look like an old woman. This one, they're supposed to look young, and they look terribly old.
Yeah, they did not. Like, you put the two girls side by side later on, you're like, oh, how did anybody confuse them? Like, oh, you look like the friend I knew a year ago. And they even say that. It's like, it's only been a year.
Yeah.
Because I think it's now we meet... now they meet the friends, the other like the crew, and this is where they're like, oh, you got collagen, that's why you look different, and you're taller.
And my favorite line is, your lips went from Cameron Diaz to Jay-Z.
See, even that right there, it's like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's not wrong.
I know, that's totally true. It's an observation.
Yeah.
Well, then there's the car ride scene later where you're like, wow, ladies.
Yes.
Wow, ladies.
We can't replicate that scene.
No. To meet the friends, and then we meet the Vandergelt sisters.
Yes.
Who are two smoking hot girls.
Yeah.
They're very attractive.
Jamie King and Brittany Daniel, I believe.
Yeah, I remember her from Joe Dirt.
Yeah. And she's in Sweet Valley High. I think she was one of the twins.
Oh, yeah, because she does have a twin sister.
Yeah, yeah.
I love the reaction of the two FBI agents. Like, God damn, those girls are hot. And they're like, those are your like mortal enemies. Oh yeah, totally. I hate them. And I like that, like the little bits like that. I was like, oh yeah, we hate them. Just that, like, oh, I got to be a girl here. So that, like, little things like that had me giggling pretty good.
And now we meet Terry Crews.
That's right.
Latrell. What's his last name again?
I just wrote Latrell.
Yeah, I wrote Latrell too.
Terry Crews, Latrell. We see that he's interested in one of the FBI agents because he loves a white girl with a black ass. Is what with a black girl's ass.
Yeah, he says, once you go black, you're going to need a wheelchair. That's his line.
It's like, well, all right then. Wait, and then somebody in a wheelchair. Wait, is it right here?
Yes, yeah.
Somebody in a wheelchair wheels up. She's like, hi, Latrell. And then
he's like, get her out of here.
His assistant kicks her away. Like, whoa.
Yeah, that was a little far. That was a little much. But I'm not gonna lie, I did laugh. Like, it was quite funny.
I was laughing at all this. All the things that I'm like, that's offensive. I'm still giggling.
Yeah. Does it make us bad people though?
No. Our intent isn't evil.
Yeah. Because that was what I was really thinking about. Because I was laughing at a lot of these jokes, and then having time pass to where we are now. Like, does that mean that I'm racist, or does that mean that I'm suggestive against people that are paraplegic? I don't know.
Our intent is not evil. We're here for humor, and we didn't make the movie.
Yeah, and I was getting existential watching White Girl, so that I knew I had to get myself back to watching this movie.
So now it's the car ride, and then it was just it was startling to hear, because the two, they're singing along to
Vanessa Carlton, 1,000 Miles.
I couldn't remember the name of the song, but I'm like, I've heard the song a million times. It's actually a dude. I'll show you a video after. It's this guy sitting on a street. He made a TikTok.
Yeah.
And he's going, making my way downtown, walking fast. I'm a seagull. Go fuck yourself. And the camera swings over, and he's holding a seagull in his hand. And it's like, bah, yelling at him. And he just tosses away and starts going, ba-da-da-da-da-da.
Wow. He is a live seagull?
A live seagull, because he's got a bunch of food, and there's seagulls flying around, and he sings that, and then it just cuts over, and he's like a seagull in his hand. I'm like, what the hell?
That song was such a banger, like 2004.
Oh, it was so good. But it was funny. I saw that video, and then I watched this, and I'm like, what the hell? That song is in this movie. I'm like, man, the universe, bro.
Yeah, I think it just makes sense. It was just a very popular song for white girls to sing in the car.
I'll admit I was singing along a little bit too.
Yeah, it's
and
a
I
good
loved
song.
seeing Terry Crews sing along to this later.
Oh,
because I hadn't seen the movie, but I remember that from the preview is him doing the singing along to this, and I was like, oh man, Terry Crews is going to sing this song later.
So apparently he did that all in one take, which I totally believe, because he's actually a really good actor. Like, he's actually quite funny.
Have you watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's so good, and him dancing in this later, man.
Oh man, such a good dancer.
What was it? Was it the Wayans show where he was the personal trainer? I think it was Damon Wayans and him on in one scene where he's in a gym and he's dancing with the dumbbells.
Oh, I don't remember. I just remember him from Battle Dome when he was T-Money. like the American Gladiators kind of show, and then they had like more characters like wrestling. Back to wrestling again, and so he was T Money because he did that thing like he can bump his chest and stuff like that. So that was always his big like claim to fame.
Or I like him in the Old Spice commercials.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Block, block, block. The girls are shopping now because they're like, oh, what are you going to wear to the party tonight? We're going to wear this. So like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
So they go shopping. He gets the phone call from his wife, and this was another like one of those moments that had me laughing because it's good, and then all of a sudden this woman comes in and goes, "Oh, you're not going to get that big thing in there into this tiny hole with that big head. Let me help you." And they're like sex sounds through the phone. Wife screaming, "What's going on?"
Yeah, and then that lady that was fitting him said, "Oh, perfect fit."
And she's like out of breath, breathing heavy. I'm like, man, you're just making this worse. I did like a lot of the movies that we break down on this show. It's like there's too many storylines going on.
Yeah.
I found this one just had just the right amount. You've got like the little side story of the wife and her friend, because now she's like, oh, we got to go find this guy. We got to find where he is, because he apparently hasn't told her that he's going to the Hamptons.
No.
Hasn't told her anything about what he's doing for his assignment. So just leaving his wife in the dark, it's irresponsible on his part.
Yeah, and Marlon Wayans, I guess he doesn't want to lose his job, right? Because there's benefits and everything involved. So that's why it can kind of make sense why he delves into this cockamamie scheme of dressing up as a white woman, because he doesn't want to lose this really good job that he has.
I wouldn't want the FBI's got to have a pretty good pension.
That's what he was saying, the benefits.
Yeah. I also like the little, like another one of the little storylines, the FBI agents, those two, because Gomez was always asking the other guy like silly would you rather questions.
Yeah.
So this one, the first one we see is like Rosie O'Donnell. Was it Rosie O'Donnell or Janet Reno?
Yeah.
I hear Janet Reno, all I can picture is Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
Janet Reno. We're going to review White Chicks.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people know that reference anymore. The SNL reference.
It's so good.
It's very good.
It's like classic Ferrell.
Apparently she went through a lot of trauma because of it though, and then she ended up like losing all this because it portrayed her in such a horrible way. But she was just only prosecuting that case, right? And so she had to kind of go through a lot of therapy to kind of decide what she actually looked like and stuff like that. So
wow.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty traumatic. Like, it's such a huge character. No, it was John Goodman played her. It wasn't Will Ferrell.
Janet Reno?
Yeah.
No, Will Ferrell.
Was it Will Ferrell?
Yeah.
What am I thinking of?
Because he was big, tall with the shoulder pads. Shoulder pad. I can't.
I'm getting confused. John Goodman played Linda Tripp. Remember for those the blonde, he would play the blonde. He had the blonde wig on. He was the prosecutor for the Monica Lewinsky trial.
Oh, I can't picture it. We're gonna find it after though.
We'll find it. Yeah.
I love old SNL. I mean, have you watched any new SNL at all?
No, not that much. What's good about it?
I watched one with Dave Chappelle and Foo Fighters, I think.
Oh wow!
Like
what a spread.
6 weeks ago. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Chappelle just did like 20 minutes of stand up off the top. Couple sketches.
Oh, that was right after. It was after the election, right?
Yeah.
Because he did the one in 2016 after the first election.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it.
Nice.
But he did one pretty good sketch with Count Chocula.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I can't repeat it because he says some offensive words, but it's pretty good.
Why don't you fire Count Chocula? How come he's still working, huh?
But I'm not even black. I'm made of chocolate.
A likely story.
That's the hard thing with this movie. Like, there's a lot of jokes you can't really tell. Like, it just doesn't sound accurate coming from an Asian guy and a white dude.
It does not.
No.
But I did think that these two FBI guys could have like their own little spin-off.
Yeah.
Because they're pretty funny. I recognize the one dude from like Dead Man on Campus. That's like, he was the one character in Dead Man on Campus that I remember.
Yeah.
Because he was always just super extreme. Or Night of the Roxbury. He was the personal trainer.
Oh.
That was like, that one. They ended up marrying Will Ferrell's fiance.
Oh,
Molly Shannon.
Yeah.
Okay, so these guys go now. Robbery.
So now we're going to the auction, I believe.
Yes. Man, remember when, I don't know if they still do it, Bachelor and Bachelorette auctions, are those still a thing?
I don't make that much money for it to be a thing. So I don't know.
It's not a thing for me.
Yeah. We did one in high school, I remember, and it didn't go well.
No?
Like, it went very poorly. It involved underage people like pouring yogurt on top of each other. It was like in public. It was I went to Catholic school, so there were a lot of repressed emotions there.
Wow.
Yeah.
We need more yogurt.
Yeah.
But so they auction off some people, and man, like this, if rich people are like this, I never want to be a rich person.
I think we're good. I think we're safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. We live in Victoria. We cannot be rich.
Yeah. Oh no, we're either really poor or really rich.
true.
It's the divide.
And somebody say it's the rich people and the people that take care of them.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm one of the.
I think
one of
that's
the
a Quincy
latter.
joke. I think that's a Quincy.
It
joke.
is actually.
Yeah.
We're a city of help.
Yeah.
Shout out to Quincy Thomas. So she auctions off herself, one of the Vandergelt sisters.
Yeah.
For like 20 G's.
Yeah.
No.
20,000. Yeah.
And then then it's one of the FBI agents that goes for 50 to
Terry Crews to Latrell.
because he wants it.
Yeah.
And this I kind of got a kick out of the other FBI agent like jabbing people in the back, like putting their arms up because that's what you do when somebody jabs you. Put your arm up like this.
I just think the whole auction thing's ridiculous. Like I can't believe that we were okay that was a scene in a movie. Like you wouldn't see that now.
No. And she also ends it with sold for $50,000 to the big black guy.
Yeah.
She says it like that too. You're like, wow. See, there's little things like that where I'm like, all right, that's not cool.
I still
like,
don't even know if that would be funny in 2004.
It wasn't like it didn't seem funny. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, you could just say sold $50,000 to that guy.
Yeah, there's definitely the lull of the movie because I felt like every event that happened, like there's a slumber party and then a beach party, and then a lot of it just didn't matter. Like it had to get to the FBI part.
It could have been a short film.
Yeah,
Could have been like an
How
hour.
long was it?
An hour and I want to say like an hour and 39 minutes or something like that.
I watched this twice. I watched an hour and 40 minutes of White Chicks twice.
You did. Wow. I was like, I sometimes put him on as background sound before we do these episodes, but today I'm like, nah, I'm good. I got
Yeah.
it. We'll figure it out. And it's this scene where it's the Mrs. Doubtfire type thing where the girls are coming over for the slumber party.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, how would they have known? Because the girls are like, don't you remember it's your turn to the slumber party? But then I'm remembering, oh yeah, they were communicating with the other two. And I wonder if they were the girls talking with their two friends before they met up at all? Like, or had they just gone a year without seeing each other and that's that?
I think they said it was a year. They said they hadn't seen each other in a year, even though they look exactly the same. And then cell phones weren't. The 2004, no, cell phones were around. The iPhones weren't. Like,
smartphones weren't.
yeah,
So,
but regular cell. So they must have been texting each other and stuff.
I guess.
And that was the whole thing was so the actual Wilson sisters are just in this apartment. Like they don't leave. Like these scars don't get healed.
I think it was my next note or 3 notes down was at this point, are the actual girls still in a hotel room somewhere?
Yeah.
Like, are they not like, because the FBI agents were there with them.
Yeah.
But did they just tell them, hey, you just stay here for 3 days. We'll be back.
Well, I thought it would have been funny if there was some kind of side plot that they would be like, what would keep them in this hotel room the whole time? Because they were essentially saying that they didn't want to go because they had to heal some scars.
Yeah, 2 scratches.
Yeah.
That they could have just covered up with makeup.
Well, that's the thing.
Realistically.
Or go back home. They don't have to stay at a hotel room. So the idea that they were able to live this life for weeks, that it seems like weeks passed for this point of the movie because there's like a slumber party and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That no one knew that these girls were missing, which is what they're trying to prevent in the first place. This kidnapping. The FBI kidnapped them.
Yeah, in hindsight, they left them in a very susceptible position. They left them in a hotel room where kidnappers probably could have found them with no FBI protection. And then at one point, the girls just leave.
Yeah.
Like, we get there in a little bit here. Because now
They go to the beach now. So there's that beach scene.
that's right, and he's Terry Crews is rocking a Speedo.
Oh,
man,
man,
he's a
he
massive human being.
He looks so good.
He does. Like, damn, Terry, look at you.
He's like
Back
all
up, Terry.
oiled up. Like it's like the mid-90s.
So in the midst of this, Sean Wayne's character has like developed a love interest to this one reporter.
Yeah.
Who I did as well. I'll admit.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
And he's like, hold on, I'll be right back. He takes this makeup obviously doesn't seem too hard to take off and on because he just dives into like a little pool house and bam, he's in his, and I guess he had a suit laying around too.
Well, no, he goes into the change room that Latrell comes out of. Because then during the auction, she kind of mentioned about how she wants to go on a date, but she always dates like poor guys. And then he was like, oh, so you want to date a rich guy. So man. Sean Wayne's plan, I know I watched this twice.
Yeah, I'm glad you caught that. I totally did.
So Sean Wayne's plan is to dress up as Latrell and be Latrell and then go to his house to take this girl on a date.
That's right. That next part makes sense.
Yeah, because he goes up to the pool bar and was like, and paid these two kids $5 to say like, hey, Latrell, I need your autograph. And then pretend he was a big cool guy. And then that's how he asked her out on a date.
I'm guessing he was a basketball player?
He's a basketball player.
Okay.
He says he's a forward. Even though Terry Crews looks like a football player.
Yeah,
so.
that's what I was going to say is he does not look like a basketball player.
Not at all.
So, yeah, okay, I missed that. I missed them calling him Latrell. Because like, at one point I was like, who the hell is Latrell? Because I knew who he was. Then I forgot the name later. And I was like, is that Terry Crews?
And it makes sense why he goes to that house. Because I did miss a little bit of that part. But then he ends up breaking into Latrell's house.
Yeah, I remember that part. I'm like, oh, he's just going to take her to Latrell's place. Cool.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that I forgot that he had like pretended to be Latrell.
Yeah. And so this is when, after that, so now they go on the date. So Marlon Wayne's character and Latrell go on the date.
So Terry Crews picks up. We got to give them names. We've
It's
gone this far.
Tiffany. Tiffany is Marlon Wayne's and Brittany is Sean Wayne's.
Okay, yeah. So he picks up Tiffany, and they get in the car, and this is where we get to see him sing along to Vanessa Carlton.
Vanessa Carlton, 1,000 Miles.
1,000
yeah.
miles. Nails it in one shot. Love this. And then they pull up to where they're going for dinner, and Sean Wayans is there ready to take the keys so he can go to his place.
Yeah.
And I loved how they had a full conversation in the time it took Terry Crews to get out the door and around the back of the car. Like basically just full on Q&A back and forth. What are
Yeah.
you doing? This is what I'm doing. This is my plan. Blah, blah, blah.
And Terry Crews doesn't even notice. Like Latrell doesn't notice.
You would think like what was he doing? Is he looking at himself in the mirror?
Yeah.
Side mirror? Like is he like fixing his, I don't know,
Fixing his
he's doing?
chest. Yeah.
He's popping his pecs. Look at this. Yeah, so they go for dinner, and then he takes Denise to Latrell's place and gets attacked by the dog. Well, pushes the housekeeper out for starters.
Yeah. That's a pretty problematic scene. Mei Ling is the housekeeper's name. Just yelling in nondescript Asian. Like it's not Chinese, not anything.
Oh yeah, you would probably know, or you might know.
No, I'm Filipino, so no.
Oh, okay, never mind. Sorry. Was that racist?
No, because we're friends. That's okay.
Yeah, okay, good.
But friends can't be racist to each
My
other.
intention was not evil. It
Exactly.
was a
That's why I
legit-
felt okay watching this movie after that.
So yeah, then there he's like, yeah, I'm showing her the place, and goes to get something to drink, and he's like, oh, she goes, do you have a dog? And he's like, no. Well, what's that then? And there's a Rottweiler.
Yeah.
It just attacks him.
Oh, but before this, she's like, oh, what's that picture? And it's a picture of Latrell. So Terry Crews, like, with just like a leopard skin print around his loin area.
A loincloth.
It's like, and who's that? It's like, oh, it's my personal trainer. It's like, you have a picture of your personal trainer in your house?
It's inspiration.
Yeah.
Keeps me inspired.
Yeah.
Keeps me accountable.
Yeah.
At this point, I was thinking, how is Sean Wayne's character planning on getting back to the restaurant? Because they're in the house, they're having drinks, and he's made no mention of like how he's going to get, like, because it's going to seem weird. They leave his house and then he drops her. He's going to drop her off, or he's going to take the car back to the restaurant. It just seems like he doesn't have enough time to do everything he wants to do.
No, well, he's the valet, right? So Sean Wayans is the valet at the restaurant. So I guess he takes the car and then he waits for a call from Marlon Wayans to pick him up. That's why he knows how to come back.
That's right. But it seems like, how would Marlon Wayans know how far away he was?
I don't know.
So many loopholes here.
Yeah.
We gotta answer questions.
That was my main. It wasn't the racism of the movie. My concern was the plot loopholes.
Yeah. Doesn't make any sense.
But the dinner is actually really fun because that's when Tiffany or Marlon Wayans chews and spits out her hangnail.
It lands in someone else's wine.
Yeah. And Terry Crews is still enamored. Like Latrell is in love with this woman.
That she orders everything she can to make her breath terrible. And then I was giggling at that too. And she's like, man, you sure can't put it away. And food flying out of his
Yeah.
mouth. Like, oh, gross.
And Latrell orders chicken, only white meat.
And also oysters because they're aphrodisiacs.
Yeah. Sorry, I almost choked on my tongue.
I made a note. His tongue is huge.
Oh, man.
He sticks out and it's like 5 inches wide. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a massive tongue.
He really is the star of the movie. Like he put
So
every
good.
scene just hilarious and just bizarre, like so memorable.
I just love Terry Crews.
Oh, so good.
So good. So now, oh yes, and just to try and deter him even further, he lets out a massive fart. And I loved his reaction is like, ooh, we gonna get along just fine,
Yeah.
baby.
He says, bask in the ambiance.
You can taste it.
It does feel like a Wayans Brothers movie now too.
So now they go to the club, and this is where I was like, wow, okay, 2004. We accepted a lot more.
Yeah.
Or a lot less people went like, hey, hold on a second.
How old were you 2004? I was about 19.
22.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were going to the club too. So
Yep.
so E and raves were yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Even into my adult life. I've toned it down now.
Even last night.
But-
you know?
Last year, maybe.
Yeah.
But this scene, Terry Crews is this young kid's like, so how's that going with
Brittany.
Brittany? And he's like, oh, she's a tough nut to crack. And he's like, yeah, give her a couple of these in her drink and she'll be fine. I'm like, and he's like, these will really work. And he's like, hell yeah, bro, I'm on some right now. And I'm like, You're accepting drugs from someone you don't know. Or wait, who was that guy? Was he that his assistant?
No, he was the friend of the guy that's dating one of the Vandergelt sisters. He's just essentially their drug popping friend.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and he's the one that says she puts the E in easy. So good, like who? Like that's Oscar winning writing right there. How can you go wrong?
She puts the O in ho. But yeah, just like nonchalantly, sure, drops 2 pills in her drink and is like, here you go, baby. And then he notices, like, yeah, it ain't gonna happen. What's that?
Yeah.
The old switcheroo.
Yeah, and Terry Crews does the E, so.
I love that, though, because you come back to him later. Hell, this pill's working for you. He's petting the dog. Fucking, I don't know, man, but I feel great.
So I've done E many times, and I don't remember ever being that energetic, like rubbing my chest and rubbing a dog all over my face.
I didn't have a dog rub. If I had a dog, I would have.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I thought it was quite a hammy interpretation of doing E. No,
I don't know. I felt like
I feel like you have a story there to tell me.
Dude, I could go on. I could do a whole episode and a half of just drug stories.
What would be a good drug movie to watch? Is there a good rave movie from the 90s, like a bad one?
Man, that's a good question. Because one of my favorite drug movies is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I love that movie. Just watched it again a couple weeks ago.
But like, is there a movie about rave culture? Like, I don't remember one.
The only one I can think of that's like ravey and musicy is like a good one called "It's All Gone Pete Tong," but that's like a good movie. It's about a DJ who loses his hearing.
Oh,
and then learns how to DJ just by feel.
Oh,
it's pretty sweet. He's a big time cokehead partier, and then he just blasts his eardrums out at a show.
Huh?
And then gets a hearing aid, starts DJing again, then breaks the hearing aid, completely wrecks his hearing, and then just like goes off the deep end with coke, and then like gets back into it, and then figures out he can just use vibration. To DJ.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a crazy movie.
I know that's the thing though. Now is DJs mainly like DJ visually, right? Because it tells you all the beats per minute and all the different wavelengths. Like I see them, a lot of them don't have the same feel because they can do it based on what they see. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, so in Latrell in the club, he has a whistle, a glow sticks,
dancing Terry Crews. This was so good. He's like, "Where's Latrell?" And he's
just popping and locking.
Just like, and I bet you, I was thinking like, how long did they let him do that?
Oh,
until they're like, "All right, Terry, we're good."
Yeah,
because I have a feeling I'm just watching that going, he did that for minutes.
I feel like that's 10, 20 minutes easily, and he probably would have had the energy to keep on going.
Oh,
too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's just an animal. Where'd the skank off happen? This was in the club as well?
This is when they had the dance off?
It's a skank off. Because the 2 Vandergelt sisters are like, oh, they think they're hot. We'll show them what's up. And they get up on the bar and just start like skanking out.
Yeah, pretty classic, not like early 2000s dancing.
The aughts, as someone
called
it. Oh, the aughts, aught 3, aught 4. So they have a little dance battle and they win. Oh, because the 2 FBI agents are like, they get totally hip hop on them.
That's right. They do. They play Run DMC and they actually break dance. Yeah.
Like you know, it's not them, but I'm like, those break dancers are pretty good.
Yeah,
but I did like that scene.
And that's how the real Wilson sisters come back because they see that like we hit up this party, we become huge, and they're like, wait, we've been in this hotel room the whole time. That's not us.
We weren't even in the Hamptons. What's going on? It's time to investigate. Now this is where they leave. They just like, we're gone.
Yeah.
No FBI protection. Nobody watching them. And even the FBI agents that were following the other 2 can't even tell them apart.
Yeah.
That's how good the makeup is. Oh, the wife is there now.
Yeah, I believe this is where Gina shows up, and then she shows up at the hotel, and then because she hears Marlon Wayans' character, and then he's trying to go in the room, but Sean Wayans is like, it's a huge hotel room, so he's kind of running around trying to dodge her.
It's a very Keystone Cops type thing.
Yeah. Well, this whole part of the movie is when in scripts where it's like the darkest before the dawn. So the wife leaves, they lose their job, all those different parts. And then they find out that the Vandergelt's prints are on the ransom note.
Yes, they put it all together.
This is how good the story was that we had to write down how it happened, and we still don't remember.
And this is where we find out that Heath is a bad guy as well.
Yes.
So Heath's been in on it the whole time.
Which, is he really a bad guy, though? Like, I guess he's an accomplice to the Vandergelts.
I suppose he's just a dick too, though.
Yeah.
There's like he says like, oh, I'm done because he's like, I want you to come over at like
3,
2, 3, and she's like, no, I'm done being your doormat, and he's like, oh, baby, you were never even a doormat. Like, who made you think you were important enough to be a doormat? I'm like, wow, somebody hit this guy.
Yeah,
And then I'm pretty sure somebody does.
that's true.
And like, yeah, he gets punched in the next right after that. Then the fashion show.
Yeah. Oh, the fashion show with the opening song. Let's Get It Started by the Black Eyed Peas.
Oh yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, it's the censored version.
That's right.
Because even that, just think like, man, that was early 2000s. That was like a popular song.
Yeah.
It was like a hit song. And I'm like, man, times have changed.
I remember listening to a lot on the NBA playoffs. So they had to obviously change from the R word to started. And then they played like every time in and out of breaks. But then I didn't realize that was the actual word of the song. And who thought it was okay to make that the words of the song? Like it got through how many hoops?
It's crazy. It's crazy. Because like now you can't even say that word. And
Yeah.
it just like triggers people. I dated a girl once a couple years ago, and I would just say it like
Oh.
just to say it, like not calling anyone that or
Yeah.
anything. I would just use it to describe situations.
Yeah.
But I said it once, and she was like, and it just set her off. And I
Yeah.
was like, okay, it's all right. I know not to say it around you.
I thought you were going to say she was this
No,
R word.
No. She was
And
a
I was like,
drunk.
wow.
She was a drunk.
Okay.
But like I said it like later on as like a reference to something
yeah.
like a month later, and it just fucking it pissed her off again. And I was like, I just said it because you said I couldn't say it or something like
Yeah.
that. She's like, ah.
But that's the thing, if you own up to it, like it's when we used to say gay all the time for something that was
totally
lame.
gay.
Yeah, but now I would never say that, and if I were, I would just apologize for that. But I know, yeah, that word the R word seemed to have taken way down a darker path. You can't even mention it anymore.
Yeah, it's funny because like I would use that to describe situations.
Yeah.
Like gay or R word would be situations. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, this is so whatever.
But I get it because then it frames mental health in kind of like a very simple term. But then it's not like any one of us like knew anyone that had like
Yeah.
mental health issues in that same way, or we think that that's related. But I get it. Like if there's a certain segment that thinks that's offensive, it's not my place to tell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We just won't say it, I guess.
We'll just listen to Black Eyed Peas instead.
So the fashion show, the Vandergelts aren't part of the fashion show, so they get pretty pissed off. So they're going to do a little Carrie type thing and
Yeah.
jump paint all over the people in the fashion show. It's also where the Wilson sisters show up. So during the fashion show, you've got the FBI agents out there intermingling with the two Wilson sisters because they show up. They're like, "Oh my God, we want to be on the show," and the fashion guy's like, "Didn't we just have this conversation?"
Yeah.
But suit up anyway. So then this is where it's kind of Keystone Cops. It's like one person going out this way and like the other two come this way and then they push them out and these two come out and I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
So that goes on for like what seems like forever.
And they wear the Bjork outfits, right? They wear like the swan outfits.
Yeah, the Vandergelts were like, this will mess with them. And they put like, one's like a chicken and one is a swan or something. And then like everyone's just booing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so terrible. I'm like, how did you guys know how did you not know you were putting those on? Or would they even care?
And it's even just the whole thing about you still don't think these are different people. Like they don't look anything. It's too much of a suspension of disbelief. Like, and that's where the movie started pulling away from me a lot. Where, come on, guys, like they're clearly look completely different. she's 6'4", the other one's 5'6". Like they're not the same people.
And then when you even get them both on the stage at the same time, I'm like, they don't look anything alike at all.
No.
Even though they use like computer technology to scan their faces to make perfect replica face masks for them.
Because that's what computers were used back then, to make face masks.
2004.
Yeah.
Get your face masks made with your computer.
Now they just give us algorithms for QAnon videos.
Or on YouTube. There's actually YouTube with a U.
Yeah.
That's a whole other world there, apparently.
Oh,
Yeah.
Let's get started. Let's do it. Let's dive in.
What you guys been doing? How was the podcast? We just watched conspiracy videos. That's all we did. So now, they dropped the I don't know how the catwalk came down.
Yeah.
The Vandergelt sisters came off the catwalk, hit the ground, didn't break any bones.
No.
Then the paint came later.
Yeah.
And just soaked them, but didn't get anybody behind them.
No. Everyone in front, though,
Unbelievable.
because they said it was like avant-garde that they got sprayed with all this paint.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And then this is the part, like somewhat racist part too, where there's like a Chinese gong goes off and the dragon. Do you remember this part?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then
What's
the
this?
dragon comes out, like the Chinese New Year dragon comes out and enraptures Marlon Wayans and then the Wilson sisters, and that's how they try to kidnap them.
It's very, very elaborate kidnapping.
I was gonna say
plan. Like
there are
who
fireworks.
Who thought of that? Like, listen, we're gonna get them during the fashion show.
Yeah.
Why not just wait till they come outside?
And this was the long-term plan. The long-term plan was to hire a Chinese dragon to capture these two. Like this was the long-standing plan.
That's a long game.
Oh, I was gonna say it was brilliant. No one saw it coming.
And so they foil the plans of the kidnappers. They spot the white legs, tackle the dragon.
Yeah.
Marlon Wayans uppercuts a dude into a tower of glasses.
Yeah.
And then Terry Crews is laying on the ground. Why was he laying on the ground?
I think he tackled someone. I'm pretty sure he tackled someone. I just remember this is where it reveals that the Vandergelds are MC Hammer broke.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
What was the other? There was like, are we this broke or MC Hammer broke?
I forgot what the other one was too. Oh, Martha Stewart broke or MC Hammer broke. That's
MC
right.
Hammer broke.
Yeah. Oh, no. Why Terry Crews on the ground? Because he takes a bullet for Marlon Wayans' character. Yes, that's right. That's right.
So he gets shot. I love how his assistant's like, oh, it's going to be okay. So maybe we'll fix that stain.
Yeah.
So don't worry. Who cares? It's just a stain. But he's like, no, I took a bullet for you. He's like, I don't think I'm not who you think I am.
Yeah.
Pulls off the mask and he's like, oh my God. And this is where I was like, Terry, what the hell? Because he's like, this was a whites only party.
Yeah.
And he like snubs him.
Well, Terry says, like, I can't believe you're not white. Not that he was a man underneath the costume.
And then just, get out of here. Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it's funny. He has a lot of dark scenes, but he's still kind of redeemable in the same way. He's just quite funny.
And everything's all wrapped up neatly. He's got the sisters and that's it.
That's it.
That was White Chicks.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy I watched it twice, to be honest. Well, so what was your take from the movie? Is there one?
Yes, it was. It wasn't like a dreadful watch. I wasn't like checking the time every 10 minutes going, oh, let's make it stop. Because that happens a lot. Mm-hmm. It was as silly as it was and as out there it was still fun to watch. It had funny moments. It was a loose story. It was like a weak storyline.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, anything to write home about.
I'll never need to watch it again, but I don't hate that I watched it, though.
Exactly. I'm on the same page. Like, I can say I've watched it, so someone says, you see White Chicks? Yes, I have.
I was reading the Wikipedia page. It says it's called classic now. Supposedly.
Well, I've heard it's odd because I've heard a lot of people reference White Chicks over the last 10 years of my life. Like,
yeah.
Like from White Chicks. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. So now I can actually get those references.
Nice.
Do you have a real rating for this? I gave it 2.5 dancing Terry Cruzes out of 10 skank-offs.
Ooh, I'll give it 2 Mrs. Doubtfires out of 10.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, it was fun. It had its moments. I'll give it that.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me on. This was great.
Dude, thanks for coming out. I appreciate it. As usual, everybody, you can find us on Facebook, The Real Garbage Podcast, YouTube. Like and subscribe if you're liking this. And if not, if you hate it, hit dislike. YouTube likes stuff. It helps. Yeah, that's it. We'll call it there. Thanks again. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Real garbage.